Good morning and welcome to Ask Andy. This is a daily podcast about personal injury practice in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'm Andrew Neuwirth. This podcast is sponsored by my law firm, Neuwirth Law Office in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. So I wanted to talk to you today about legal fees, expenses, and how things go in terms of that in personal injury cases. So most of the time when you're employing a lawyer, you pay them by the hour. If you're getting a will or if you're running a business and you need a lawyer, you pay them by the hour. And that's just the way it is. Now with personal injury lawyers, we run on a different system. We run on a contingency system. And there are a couple of reasons for that. But basically, the bottom line is that most of my cases with most of my clients are set up as follows. I take a third of whatever we recover before we have to file suit. If we have to file suit, meaning go to court, then I usually take between 35% and 40%. And it just depends on what I think the case is in terms of work and difficulty. The fee is 40%. I usually tell everyone at our initial meeting that I'm going to take a big chunk out of you at the end of the case, but it'll be worth it. So most of the time I tell most people that, at the end of the day, whatever numbers we're discussing, it'll be about 55% is what usually most clients see. So, why is that? Well, first of all, I got to get paid, and most people with personal injury cases are average, ordinary people. They don't have the ability to pay me by the hour, okay? And also, most of what I do is fairly high risk in some sense, because there's really no dollar amount to be put on pain and suffering. It's very hard to tell what your case is going to be worth, when it's going to be worth, and it's even harder to tell what a jury would put on it, 2 years in the future. So it's kind of an inherently risky process. And so the personal injury lawyers of the world are kind of the high wire act. A lot of what we do is just run on our gut opinions about what things are worth. The other aspect of it is that, most people who hire me can't afford to put up the money to pursue the case. And these cases cost money and litigation is expensive. So, I kind of estimate in my head that your average case that goes anywhere near trial, finishes discovery, let's say, and goes to a settlement conference and settles, that case is going to have expenses that are between $5,000 and $10,000. And that's just kind of the cost of doing business. That's filing, that's depositions, that's an expert or two. That's before you start, the real meat of expenses, which is trial expenses. So, most people don't have $5,000 or $10,000 lying around for anything. And second of all, most people don't have the confidence in their own case or in the value of their case that I do, because I've been doing this for a while. I kind of know what things are worth. I can estimate what a case should cost. Most people don't do that or can't do that because that's why they're hiring me. So most people don't want to put $10,000 kind of on the line on their case. So I put that up for them. But what that means is, just in terms of business and risk, it means I've got $5,000 to $10,000 out or allocated or able to be put out, on my entire caseload. And most people just can't do that. So I'm essentially your bank, and I'm also, your lawyer, and I'm kind of working for free for a long period of time. So, look, if we get a big hit, if you get a $600,000 settlement, am I going to take 200 of that? Yeah. But, maybe it costs $20,000 to get there. Did I make a good bet on you in your case? Yeah. Are you happy getting $400,000 that you wouldn't have otherwise gotten? I hope so. That's why people keep coming back to me. So, there are plenty of times when I cut my fees because the result just didn't work out like we thought. There are plenty of times when I eat my expenses because I'm trying to make it better for the client. It's the numbers are very rough numbers in what I do. So it's easier for me to finance the case and tell you what's what and explain why fees are as they are than to go hourly, because sometimes I spend 100 hours, sometimes I spend 1,000 hours, sometimes I spend 5 hours. There's no rhyme or reason between how much time I spend and how cases turn out. Some cases settle on a dime because they're really strong and there's very little coverage. Some cases don't settle for years because there's a weakness there, or there's a problem, or the insurance company is just, hasn't paid attention to it and doesn't want to settle the case. For example, cases against the city of Philadelphia. The city essentially doesn't have a policy this way, but their practice, their MO, is that they don't really look to settle their cases until the very end of the case. They just have too many cases, they have too few lawyers, and that's kind of how they do things. So, I know that, but it also means I know that when I take a case against the city of Philadelphia, I'm not going to get paid till 2.5 years down the road. Okay, so, do you want to pay me for 2.5 years down the road time out of your own pocket with the expenses? No. Would it be better if you paid me by the hour? It just depends on the case. How are we going to evaluate that? I don't know. That's kind of hard to guess. So, legal fees are just kind of a murky area, but the bottom line is this. Like you see on TV, like you see in advertisements, like, I don't get paid if I lose. So what does that mean? That means that, one, I don't want to take your case if I think I'm going to lose, and I don't want to kind of lead you down the garden path and have you believing you have a strong case if you're going to lose, first of all. Second of all, I really don't want to lose. Losing means I lose $5,000 to $10,000, plus I lose, 50 to 100 hours or more of my work, plus I lose the prospect of a legal fee percentage. I don't want to lose. So as a result, I don't take cases where I think I'm going to lose. I tell people, look, I don't think I'm the lawyer for you. I don't like clients being mad at me. I take my clients seriously, and I want them to be happy, and I want them to like me, and I want them to refer other people to me. Losing's part of the game. If it's part of the process, you're going to lose it, once in a while. But, those are more the surprises than the regular course of things. And if you lose too many, as a personal injury lawyer, you go out of business. So if you've been in business doing this for 10 or 20 or 30 years, it means, you know what you're doing. You're successful. It means you're making good judgments about cases. It means people paying your fee are getting their money's worth. So that's enough about legal fees today. My job is to keep the client happy and make good business judgments so that I'm here for you when you need me. That's about enough for today. Have a great day. This has been Ask Andy. Have a great day. Take care.